I am Nicole Brice. I am with Mixed Alternative Magazine. We are an online-based music, arts, and indie magazine. Started in 2022, and we're slowly growing, and here we are.
Yeah. So your magazine focus is international, national?
Just international, wherever. Just any type of indie artist who is not signed to a label and who's trying to get their sound out there and get people to listen to their stuff. Because, nothing's more annoying than you getting a ton of press releases from major labels and these bands are already getting coverage.
Right.
So it's like I'm trying to hone in on the little guy, the dude that's in his basement, making beats and who wants to be seen and heard. So if I get an email from somebody, I'm going to hop on that before I hop on a press release. And that's just the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed that angle. I started putting unsigned on a lot of my merch, on the shirts and stuff. And I like the plight of the indie artist, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's funny, I don't know about for you, but for me, it's insane how what I'm doing parallels what musicians go through.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, both you and I, we've had to struggle these past couple of years, because I'm sure you've experienced it as much as I have. You want to cover a band or a musician, and then they ghost you or ignore you because, your likes and follows aren't enough, know? And it's like, how are you ever going to grow if no one gives you an opportunity, you know? And I tell people that all the time, they're like, oh, but, Rolling Stone and Alternative Press and Spin and all. I'm like, yeah, dude, but they had to struggle and build something to get to where they are. They didn't just have all that shit just fall into their lap.
Years and years in the making, of course.
Exactly. But yeah, so it started, I'm gonna be honest with me, I was having trouble finding new music, and I'm so fucking disenfranchised with mainstream music right now. Like, I'm so tired of, I've told you this, I'm tired of the Taylor Swifts, tired of the Doja Cats, I'm tired of this mass-produced, fucking shit that they're throwing at you, and there's no substance to the music. The lyrics don't speak to you. They don't tell you anything. It's just, how are you supposed to enjoy music if it does not inspire you? You know? And so then that kind of led me down the rabbit hole where I was like, okay, I'm not a fan of Spotify, never have been. I prefer Apple Music. Well, Spotify will give you suggestions, on artists to check out. But, one day I was talking to Lou Kohler from Sick of All, and he was like, yeah, but, they don't even give you good suggestions. It's like, you'll listen to, say, like Madball, and then the next recommendation is, here's something from Justin Bieber. And you're like, what the fuck? That's like not even in my algorithm, you know?
I don't know who does it, like YouTube or something. There's a service that I'll be on, and it'll say, it comes through on here, so it might be YouTube. It'll say, are you still watching?
Yes.
And I thought that was so funny, because the services that don't do it, I'm like, I wonder if they just throw a Bieber in there to see. It's the same as the question, are you still listening? Are you even alive?
Here's some shitty music to knock you back into, consciousness if you've, kind of drifted off. But yeah, man, I was having trouble finding new music. And, I'm not a fan of TikTok. I have my own personal reasons, but I just started going down the rabbit hole on Instagram. Instagram, to me, it's a great way to discover new music. And so I started finding these bands and then reaching out to them, and then it just started building from there. But initially, I went into the magazine and everything with, okay, the music scene in Louisiana, it was stagnant at the time. Mm-hmm. COVID had killed it. Nobody was going to shows. No one cared. Unless you were a cover band playing the Cranberries Zombie, no one was going to pay to see you,
Yeah.
And so it's like I kind of stepped in and I started getting people hyped up and excited about just music again. And that's what I keep trying to do, because I find, like, when we grew up, we were just different. Like, we cared about music. We cared about world issues. We had empathy. We cared about things. There was substance. And now I feel like everything's just so prefabricated, and everyone follows the flock, and there's no independent thought. You know?
I think it's always the song of the current generation to speak about previous times and how much better they were. And I get that, but most notably of what you're speaking is that our experiences today are so curated by someone or something else.
Exactly.
Two things. I was talking to Julian Primo yesterday, and he was talking about when he was a kid, and they didn't even have like cable television. There was no internet when he was a kid, but he would get a hold of like a Spin magazine or something, and he would just read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to him, but in my mind, I'm thinking about how less curated our world was. Like, you couldn't just go choose what you wanted to watch on streaming.
True.
There were a ton of different channels that had all different stuff, and you watched all the commercials, and you consumed that subject matter. Today, like DirecTV and all of that shit, it's just the same program 50 times. Like, they just want you to binge watch. I don't get it anymore.
Well, like
and
you just said, it's a program.
Yeah,
it's a program to keep you programmed.
Yeah, and the streaming as well. I mean, there's algorithms and playlist curators that are putting things out, and we're starting to hear the same poppy stuff over and over again, and not some of the stuff that you would have to go dig for. I was telling him, I'll watch a music documentary from whatever era and jot down on my phone the names of the bands that they mentioned, especially punk, because I'm like down and deep into punk. I wasn't into punk a whole lot when I was a kid.
I was, yeah.
So, but I'm going back
to rediscover.
And I'll come away from a documentary with a list of like 30 bands. Some of I've heard of them, some of them I haven't heard of them, but it'll give me like a starting point for this wormhole that I'm about to go down,
I do the same shit.
You gotta fight to discover new music.
You do. And I mean, I do the same shit, and I'll say, I've noticed the difference since we've been getting submissions from overseas versus submissions from here in the States.
Okay.
It's like something's going on overseas where they've got just these creative juices flowing. And I mean, I'll get music that's just so different you can't even categorize it. There's this band Cinder. They're from the UK. They've sent me 2 singles recently to look over it and review. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, man, it sounds like Catherine Wheel meets 9 Inch Nails meets something I can't describe. And it's shit like that really keeps me going. That music to where it's so freaking good. You're like, bro, I'm just at a loss for words. I can't describe it,
Yeah.
And then whereas like here, in Louisiana, I mean, as well as I do, it's 90% metal. Everything's metal.
Is it? I thought it was just me. I'm like, why is the metal community embracing me so much?
Dude.
Why am I having such a hard time going elsewhere? That answers it.
Right. Well, I had someone ask me recently, reached out via email. They go, do you only cover metal? I'm like, no. We cover all genres, but it appears that way because that's all we get submitted here in Louisiana. But then I don't know if you've even seen these little pockets of like alternative scenes we have popping up. Like you've got bands like Phantom Sun, you've got Holly Star, a lot of these bands are Lafayette-based bands. You got Double Knockout, and they're really trying to curate this whole underground alternative scene. Jean-Claude Segal, I don't know if you've talked to them yet.
No.
But yeah, so it's like you've got these little pockets of alternative art. Chris Russ is another one, he's more emo/alternative, but you've got these pockets of alternative artists who are struggling to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're playing shows all over. It's just the general public is not interested in music. But they'll pay $20, $30, $40 to go see some band, belt out Cranberry Zombie,
I mean, just like an original is a harder sell than a cover band in general. I mean, I get that. It's difficult for bands like that to progress because they end up saturating their own market because they are without means.
True. 100%.
So unless they come together and maybe pool funds and pool resources to go on the road together, then what other shot do you have than getting signed and whatever the hell that means?
I know, because I mean, even getting signed these days is a crapshoot. Because
I don't know that does anything anymore.
No, I don't either. Because to be quite honest, it's like you've got the mainstream music industry, who's just churning out these artists that seemingly just show up out of nowhere, industry plants, and then you're sitting there, you're seeing the product that they're putting out, and you're like, well, that's total shit. Like, how is that even good, and how are people even embracing that? I
mean, a lot of them, I'll say they have talent. To each his own. So maybe it's not my thing. They have talent, but I find myself questioning what sets them apart from 20, 30, 40 others. Like, it doesn't seem spectacular, but he's getting spectacular numbers.
Yep.
In streaming, spectacular ticket sales. What makes it so spectacular?
That's me. That's what I think about all the time.
Me.
Yeah. Oh, same.
Yeah.
And then you've got these struggling acts who are really, really, really good, and they can't get the numbers, they can't get the exposure. And I'm hoping eventually, as more and more people discover what we're doing and embrace what we're doing, maybe they'll discover a new favorite band through our platform, and as well as I do, you don't make any money, I don't make any money doing what I'm doing. It's a passion project, it's just because I fucking love music and I wanted to give back. But another thing too, I grew up in Prairieville, and I grew up in Prairieville back when it was country farmland. We'd go cow tipping for fun, middle of nowhere.
Did you really?
I did. And now, it's the trendy place to live. And my parents still live out there. And every time I drive out there, I'm just like, oh God, it makes me sad. all these, all these farmhouses and all this farmland, it's now all subdivisions. It just makes me sad. But also too, growing up, we would drive to Baton Rouge, to Chime Street, to LSU, and we would hang out down there because back then you had a row of bars. You'd go to the Bayou.
Yeah.
You'd go to Ichabod's. You'd go to the library. You'd go to the Varsity. You'd walk over to Paradise Records over, in the University Shopping Center. That's where we'd park. You'd park there and then you'd walk to all the clubs. Well, it's like I've always missed that atmosphere. I've missed that cohesion. I've missed that whole scene. And it's like if you go down to Chime Street these days, it's a shell of what it was.
Really?
Yeah. Like you can only envision what it was if you were there. But that's another goal, hopefully, if I win the lottery or become rich or something.
Let's not forget this if that happens too, by the way.
Right. But eventually, I would love to be the one that says, hey, let me buy all these buildings down here. Let me revitalize all this shit. Let's make it what it was.
Yeah.
Because even the Varsity, man, they don't even book that many shows anymore.
What's behind it all, though? You got to ask yourself that question because it seems like we demonize everything that's been developed over the course of our generation. That's not like what it was in our childhood.
Oh, I know.
I think it's just a natural tendency. But I mean, everybody will agree that social media has isolated more people than it has brought together, and it's kind of conjured up this notion or atmosphere that there is no more collective unless you're online.
Right.
Like the mall is gone.
Oh, I was having that discussion with my husband last night.
There's no places to go that people want to go socialize. It seems like I don't know what's missing. I would soon look at social media and things of that sort, but I mean maybe it's people's natural tendency. I don't know. It just seems like there's less cohesion, like you're speaking of, and there's no like the word got played out. It got overused so much. A movement, It doesn't really occur to people anymore. Getting behind somebody or supporting somebody is just clicking like.
Yeah.
Or God forbid they share your stuff.
Right.
It's like, wow, you just gave me $1 million. How did you part with that share? Thanks, buddy.
But I'm gonna be honest. I don't even embrace the whole money making side of social media because to me it's dishonest money. I have certain morals and things, to where I will not make money on certain things if it's dishonest. It's just how I am. And I find everything about, the whole process of making money on social media to be completely fake. It's like you're continually, influencing and putting yourself out there. But what the fuck are you truly influencing? It's like...
It's a false pretense because people follow you because they follow you, but then you're receiving money through the back door. And so you're going to make it look like you love Coca-Cola or whatever else.
And so to me, it's dishonest money.
Well, sure. I mean, I think the main premise of social media is to appear genuine while actually being disingenuous.
Yeah. Oh, and I've learned my lesson. It's like I try to keep it, all professional, but it's like, say I'll have a breaking point. About my son. I'll say I'll have a rough day and I have a breaking point with my son, and I need that positive energy from people, and I'll make a post, and then doesn't go the way I want because, you'll have one jackass who's insensitive as fuck and, will make a comment, and it's like, then you learn, okay, I can't be myself on here. I just have to put on the facade, and put on the whole look. And, even worse, it cracks me up, and I'm sure you've seen me post about this. Literally, I'll wake up each day and I have like 30 or 40 friend requests from dudes. And it's because of my profile picture, but it's like, I don't fucking look like that every day. That's called glammed up, going to a photo studio, and those are headshots.
Yeah.
And then I'll have these jackasses fucking, messaging me going, oh, I love your profile picture. And so I had one last week, in fact, 4:00 in the morning, I just woke up, accepted the friend request, and some jackass message, and he goes, what are you doing? I go, laying in bed next to my husband.
Right.
But it's just the fakeness of social media. But then I even asked my husband, I said, you're a dude. I said, is this fucking effective? I said, dudes just creeping in people's inboxes trying to hit on them. I'm like, if you weren't married to me, I'm like, would you be doing shit like this? He goes, no. He goes,
well, it's immature conduct.
Right.
It's something that works on a 15-year-old.
Right.
They just never grew up, and now they're 35 trying to act like a 15-year-old. They don't realize
But I mean, it made me laugh last week. The dude's like, what are you doing? I'm like, laying in bed next to my husband.
By the way, yeah.
Like, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, so now I screen them every morning when I wake up and I see them, like, are you a musician? Okay, yes, I'll accept you.
Right. Is there some sort of relevance?
Yeah, exactly. But bro, I mean, social media is such a beast, man. And you know, it's like, it's good to a certain extent for getting your product out there, but then it's not, because you're at the mercy of the algorithms.
Yeah.
You know?
I just kind of take it for what it is. I realize that it's always going to have its thumb on me.
Yeah.
So I don't try to fight that. And I had to decide early on, because I mean, I've only been doing this a few years. I had to decide early on, what am I going to do with these people that come in the comments and they're just filled with hate.
Right.
You know, I'm showcasing a piece that I did it's a work that I created with a musician that's world famous and that thousands of people love. And you're actually going to come in a comment to be like, oh, who the hell is this? That guy sucks. I had to decide early, well, I mean, it happens all the time, but I'm just saying it for instance. I had to decide early on, what am I going to do with that? Because my first inclination was to delete the comment, hide the comment.
That's normally what I do.
I thought to myself, that's just silly. I can't silence somebody else's voice because I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Now, is it immature and closed-minded? Absolutely. But what ended up happening is you have defenders that come to the aid of the musician that's getting interviewed and saying, what are you talking about? They're, you know, they're on the chart, they did whatever. So they start going back and forth arguing, which is not the atmosphere that I intended. Yeah. But the algorithm just sees comment, like, comment,
and then latches onto it,
and then starts pushing it further, so I just let it go.
Yeah.
Now, is that my disingenuous participation in the social media world? Kinda. Because if they were on my property in my house, I'd say, get the fuck out of here, you know what I'm saying? But if it's gonna contribute to the circus, you know, I mean, what else is it good for?
Bro, just think about it. Okay, so think about if we actually confronted people in real life, like Jay and Silent Bob did in that one movie, you know, with what they said online.
Yeah.
Oh, people would like fucking cower. You know, I could see me show up to someone's house. Okay, on this day, you said Nicole Brice is this and she does this. Okay, yeah, was this you? And you could see them probably shutting the door in your face. It's like people don't want to be called out, but yet they can be keyboard warriors.
You have the next MTV show. That's it. It'll be like 16 and Pregnant 2X or something. You know?
Right. It's like, what could you call something like that? Ass whooping, you know, for social media comments or something?
That's what they do.
I don't know.
They basically pander to social media. Tell me about how you got a start in, I guess journalism in general had to be an interest of yours, like in high school or further back?
So it wasn't really high school. So I guess I'll give the brief synopsis. So in middle school, I was on the yearbook staff.
Okay.
And then I ended up being editor of the yearbook staff. I want to say it was my 8th grade year. 8th grade year, I was editor of the yearbook staff. Then high school, I wasn't really into journalism. I was more into public speaking. I took theater. So I was on that path, you know, towards like a mass comm type of career, but I just didn't know yet. And then it was when I got into college. In fact, I'm one of those people who started college, picked my major, and never changed it, never looked back.
Wow. Yeah.
So I started at Southeastern. I picked mass comm, and I didn't know if I wanted to do journalism, but I knew I wanted to do radio. Because see, growing up, I used to practice my radio voice, and I would listen to 102.5, and I would call in and win all the prizes, and I was obsessed with the whole radio world. And so then when I got to college, I chose the mass comm degree, and so you learn journalism, you learn the basics, you learn everything. But it wasn't until I got my job at 90.9 KSLU that I really started to realize what I wanted to do for a living. But I didn't know how I was going to do that because, see, I went to college, got the degree and all that, but then I ended up getting a job in marketing, which is something I did not go to school for at all.
Sure, but it uses a lot of the same faculties.
Yeah, kind of, it does. And the way that happened is that just sort of fell into my lap. It was crazy, too. I was working at a rental car company as a manager after college, and it was just one of those transitionary jobs,
Sure.
Like, what the fuck am I going to do now? I got this degree, what do I do? And it just so happened that the people I had been working for previously, one of their supervisors got in touch with me and like, we've got this marketing position open. We heard you just graduated from SLU. Would you like to interview for it? And so went interviewed for it, and then that was history. So from 2006 to 2020, I worked in marketing for a franchisee of a corporate company, which I cannot mention. I'll just say that a cease and desist was sent to me.
Boo hiss. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and you know, that goes back to my books too, you know. So like I had a book that I contributed to after all was said and done. I lost my job in marketing, and the publisher made it to where, you know, no names, no places,
Sure.
you know, very vague. But I wanted to get my story out there because I have a very unique story, and there's so many facets to everything I've done. I mean, and she encouraged me. She's like, get that pain out in your writing. Talk about you losing your job that you had forever. Talk about your son getting diagnosed with autism around the same time, and the fact that you gave birth to another child around the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, amongst all this, I had all this chaos of losing my job, son diagnosed with autism, just gave birth to a baby girl, and I'm trying to juggle all this. And, you know, so then it was around that time, I will say, I found out the real reason that I lost my job after all was said and done. And I had a moment on social media and I said something I shouldn't have. And then that's where the cease and desist came in.
They poked the bear at that moment, and that's what turned things around, right?
Yeah. So, so word the wise to anybody out there, be careful what you say on social media about other people, because if you use specific names, they can send you a cease and desist. It's
Yeah.
true. But I didn't even use specific names. I was vague, but they still sent me a cease and desist.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, so I look back on that now. So as I never really pursued journalism, I knew I wanted to do something in music. Because the KSLU bug bit me, because when I was working there, I was doing interviews. I had the afternoon show, I had the afternoon drive from 3 to 6. I was production director there. I did all kinds of sweepers and promos. And so I loved being creative. But all that went on the back burner when I worked in marketing all that time. So lose my job, you know, in marketing. And at this point, it's like, well, what the fuck do I do now? You know, because my whole life was this one job forever. And literally, and I tell people this all the time, and they don't fucking believe me. I went to bed one night, had the most vivid fucking dream I have ever had, woke up that next day, and you ever have those moments where it's like, you get these creative downloads, and you wake up and you're like, I gotta write this shit down. Like, I don't know where it came from.
Gotta get it out, yeah.
Yeah, but I gotta do something with it. So I woke up one morning, and I tell my husband, I go, I'm gonna start an online magazine. And he goes, okay. He goes, why? And I tell him about my dream, and I'm like, bro, I feel strong about this. But at the time I was scared, because like I had to build a website. I had to do all this business stuff. And you know, I'd never done any of that in my life. I'd never built a website in my life. I knew nothing about coding. I just was very creative. I knew how to make creative elements for, you know, my previous career. And one day I sat down and I found the platform, and I sit down and I'm looking at the computer and I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm like, I have to build this into a beast of a website, and I have no idea what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, I'm gonna go take a nap. And when I get up from this nap, I'm gonna have the answers. So I went and took a nap. About an hour and a half later, got up, got back on the computer, plugged away for about 2-3 months, and then there she was.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. So it's not like I said, I never really wanted to pursue journalism. I just love music. And I just love talking about it. And I love introducing people to new music, because there's no better feeling than you discovering a new band. You're like, man, these guys are really fucking good. I want someone else to know about them.
See, that's the thing with
You know?
me. It's a natural inclination of mine to, if I enjoy something, I want to share it immediately.
Same.
It's like if you just got this great pizza, you just can't wait to give out a few slices.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when
Yeah.
it comes to music, that's been a passion of mine all my life. So it feels inside me, it feels like the highest compliment or favor that I could bestow upon someone, to share that with them. It's like, what an incredible gift, because creation is divine to me, and
Same,
to
yeah.
be able to share some of that with somebody and they really pick up on it and
Right.
connect with it too. It's like you just gave a gift that's going to last a lifetime. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, some of my favorite bands were discovered from friends or through my brother going, hey, check this out. Because
Right.
growing up, I have a brother. He's 18 months older than me. And so we were like peas and carrots growing up. You know, my parents forced him to bring me to high school. And, you know, I was the little annoying sister hanging around him and his guy friends. But, you know, we'd be at my parents' house and he'd be in his room and his guy friends would be over. And I'd hear, my room was right next to his. So I'd hear music and I'd be like, what are they listening to? It's really fucking good. So I'd go walk over there and he'd let me in. I'm like, what are y'all listening to? And then, you know, back then we had CDs. So it's like, oh, it's this CD. It's this, you know, artist.
Yeah.
And so that's how I discovered a lot of my music. My brother is the one who got me into Black Sabbath. 15 years old, you know, I had never heard of Black Sabbath. And he was listening to We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll on CD. And I heard NIB. That was the first song I ever heard by Sabbath. And I went into his room and I was like, what is this? And he was like, it's Ozzy Osbourne's band before he became, before he was solo. And I'm like, oh man, it's so fucking good. Then I heard Sweet Leaf, and then that was the second one that hooked me. And Pantera. I discovered Pantera through my brother back in 1996. I'm in high school, and he comes up to me. He's like, Pantera's coming to UNO with White Zombie. He's like, hey, we're thinking about getting a group together and going. I had never heard of Pantera. I'm like, well, I'll fucking go, So I got to hear Pantera, I Hate God, and White Zombie for the first time, 16 years old,
Your first time hearing them was live?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
If that doesn't make an impression, I don't know what does.
Man, and it was during the Great Southern Trendkill Tour. So, it was just fucking incredible. But then, I did have the good luck and good fortune of seeing Pantera play again back in 2001. I saw them with Soulfly at Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum. So I got my Pantera fixed, before, they disbanded and everything happened like it did. But, bro, I'm telling you, that is the best way to discover new music is through word of mouth and other people. And, back then we didn't have the internet, in the 90s. It was in its infancy. And so it's like, just a simple, hey, check this out. So, like I've got on our header on the Mixed Alt Mag Facebook page, friends introduce, or something like friends introduce other friends to new original music or something like that. Be that friend. Because, you gotta be, Because it's like if you rely upon TikTok and the algorithms and all the freaking electronic shit to make your decision on what you're going to listen to, you're seriously missing out.
Yeah, but think about this. This is what kind of sucks, too, about streaming, Reason 4080.
Yeah.
I can remember back in the day sitting at a red light on Canal Street and having somebody run up with a CD. He's walking, it was like Wild Wayne's latest mix or something, and he's handing out CDs, or like you stop at a gas station and somebody's selling them out the trunk of their car.
Oh, yeah.
Like how many times, you know what I'm saying? And streaming has kind of made that a moot point because no one's dealing with physical anymore.
But to be quite honest, the sound quality is better with physical than it is digital. And people laugh at me all the time, but I'll bring my big CD books from high school in the car with me.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to my CDs because the sound quality is so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people, to be quite honest, when I'm driving who likes to be fidgeting with all the gizmos and gadgets, because I think there's just too much technology in cars these days. So, if I can put in a fucking CD that I know is good from start to finish, then I'm covered.
Yeah.
Or I'm still one of those people that has iPods. I've got 4 iPods filled with all my music from over the years. And I know what music is on which specific iPod. So however I'm feeling that day, let me grab this iPod today. We're going to plug that in and we're going to,
You're way too organized for me, dude. I've got a wall of records in there. I've got a tub of 8 tracks there, and there.
Nice.
Tapes down. They're just piles of, it's different areas, just different piles. I wanted to like visit a certain decade. I know about what part of the room I need to go stand in long enough to find that thing,
I will say my vinyl is the most unorganized. I've tried alphabetizing it. I've tried doing everything I can. But you can't. The spines are too skinny.
Yeah,
and so I'm like looking for a record, and I'm like, I can't even fucking read the name on here. So then I get on my ladder because I'm short, and the records are on a shelf. And so I'm on the ladder. I'm like, where's that fucking record I was looking for?
Oh, yeah. No, I'll go grab like a group of 10, like according to how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Grab a group of 10 or 12 and then come in here and pour a drink and listen to a few of those. But I can't, if you ask me to go find it, I can't.
Yeah, you sound like me.
Yeah, and it just is what it is, man. Until I, like you said, win the lottery and get that certain room that I want that's just going to be music related, Hopefully 70s themed, but
I want a 70s themed house. You know what? I'd love to have a house that's late 70s, early 80s theme. I want the shag carpeting. Oh, yeah. I want the avocado green appliances. Yes. I want all that shit. So that's like I've been telling my husband. I'm like, one day I know we're going to move out of this house, and I go, my dream home would be to build a custom late 70s, early 80s inspired house.
Yeah.
And then have the old TVs and get them refurbished. Old Ataris, all that shit. Dream world.
I can't let go of that stuff.
Me neither. It's part of my, fabric, my tapestry of who I am,
I've got an original Atari, and a parts Atari, because everything that I love is so old that it falls apart.
Oh, yeah.
You pop in an 8-track and the tape comes unglued or something. It's like, oh man, I just want to jam. I don't want to do surgery right now.
Right.
But it's a labor of love,
Oh, yeah.
And to your point about the cars and fidgeting and all of that stuff, that's why I'm building trucks out there. I got a 87 Jeep and a 76 Chevy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because I want no digital anything, you know.
Oh, me neither.
I want to step away from it and drive at the same time. It's like Zen, you know.
Well, but also too, you know, like a lot of these newer cars, and this is totally off subject, but real quick, but you know, like they've got all these fucking sensors. So you get one little, you know, freaking sensor that breaks, and then your whole car won't start.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, my mom the other day, she's like, I want to get a new car, but not a new car. She goes, I want to get a new used car. I go, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Restored, definitely. So you get out of this marketing job, and it's kind of catastrophic at the time, and then you start building Mixed Alt Magazine online. How did you go about it? Because you just said you were typing away or plugging away, and 3 months later, I mean, what were the mechanics that made it happen?
Well, so when originally I started, I had a core group of people that wanted to help me launch it, and then a couple of the guys, you know, they were only interested in money, and so they're like, oh, well, I can't do this if you can't pay me, you know. So I said, that's fine, go do your own thing, whatever. Well, then I actually had someone who helped me start things with the magazine, and she was handling the entertainment portion because she was all about watching movies and streaming and writing about it. I was like, that's cool, that's your thing. I'm the music, reading books chick, you know, so let me handle that. So, you know, she and I started building it together. And then all of a sudden it just started getting traction. We started getting requests for coverage. And then it got to a point where we weren't having to reach out to people anymore. They were reaching out to us, and we were inundated. And then one day she just jumped ship. Don't know why. She got upset with me, and I didn't even do anything wrong that day. And so I was just like, okay. And then so I just took the reins, and I've been building it by myself, gosh, since, let's see, she was on board from October 2022 to into 2023, was it? And then 2024 is, I think, when I took the reins and then just started building it all. So like a lot of people don't realize, you know, they go on our page and they see all these contributors and staff members, but those people only do stuff when they can. I am Mixed Alternative Magazine. I'm the one responding to emails. I'm the one, you know, scheduling. I'm the one doing the interviews. I'm the one setting up the photo shoots. And, you know, it just started building. It's like we had these great ideas of where we wanted to go with things. And that was another thing, too. You read a lot of these more mainstream online publications, and you can tell that these people are paid to say what they need to say about these musicians and artists. It lacks authenticity. It lacks a personality, you know? And so that was one thing we wanted to focus on in the beginning, was we don't want our articles to sound like just regurgitated bullshit. We want it to reflect our actual thoughts and ideas about the music. And so, you know, you've read my stuff. You know, I tried to make it more relatable. I'm not going to try to use a gajillion fancy words on you. You know, I'm going to be like, look, I discovered this fucking band. They sound like, I'll just throw an example, Hoobastank or whoever, you know. They sound like fucking Hoobastank. You know, you should check them out. Because ultimately, when someone discovers a new band, they're going to ask you, who do they sound like? So you got to come prepared to be like, well, who the fuck do I think these people sound like? You know, so you can tell them. And so, you know, that's how I approach a lot of these bands when I'm talking about them, you know. And but another thing too I'll bring up, you know, with the shows, you know, being in the scene, people are always, you know, like, people aren't coming to shows. I'm like, no one knows who you fucking are.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, okay, you may have a small presence on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, but if no one has taken the time to properly market you, to really say what you're about, no one's gonna fucking care.
It's so odd, and I call them vanity metrics that probably are officially referred to as that, but it is the truest definition of what that is online, what you see, the number of followers. It doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't matter. And when you distill it down to who really gives a shit about you and who really doesn't, it's a fraction. Yeah. It's a small fraction of that illustrious number that everybody gauges everyone by. And it's going to go by the wayside soon anyway, because the algorithms are starting to show things to people based on what their interests are, not based on popularity, thank God. Yeah. But I mean, it's just another twist and turn in the plot, you know. It's gonna change a million times over in our lifetime, you know. So you you have this magazine and you start gaining traction. Now, what are you using as your metric to judge traction, other than what you mentioned was people started reaching out to you? Are you watching stats? Are you the type of person?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not one of those people who relies too heavily on stats, because, you know, it's like you could have the best stats in the world, but if you're going out into the general environment and talking to people and they don't know who you are and what you're doing, you're not making an impact.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, I'll look at the stats, and the thing that I started noticing, I mean, it was really heavy early on, is we had people in Finland, Switzerland, Sweden, England. It was a lot of the overseas markets that were looking at our website, and I'm like, that's crazy. And believe it or not, the majority of our audience is not from Louisiana. It's from other places.
Really?
Yeah, and it's from other states. You know, like we've got a good a footing up in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Jeff Crespi, he's an award-winning photographer out of New Jersey. He's one of our contributing photographers. And because of him and his enthusiasm for what we're doing and building the brand, I've been able to, you know, build a nice little network up there who they love what we're doing and they want to be a part of it, you know. And so I want to keep promoting them because they've got a scene up there that is just so freaking diverse. And the big joke whenever I interview any band up there, they're always like, man, this is Bruce country. You know, if you go in any club, you're going to see Bruce Springsteen. And there was this, but there was this one band, Spine, this young band, Spine.
Bruce Country.
Yeah, Bruce Country.
Okay.
So I'm talking to this one band, Spine, one day, though, really great young band. And one of the guys, he said something about, man, everybody's fucking met Bruce. Met him, seen him, shook his hand. I haven't seen him yet. Where's Bruce? I'm like, just watch. It'll happen. It's going to be like, where's Waldo? You're going to be, you know, psyching yourself out too much. And you're going to be playing a show and you're going to be looking for him. And then all of a sudden, there he's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just, we've been building it, and wherever they embrace us, that's where I'm continuing to build.
Well, sure. You see a little action, you pander to that to try to make it grow.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, we've had so many bands ghost me that I've reached out to in the past that I wanted to cover. I mean, I've had bands that I've confirmed interviews with via email, and then they just don't respond to you.
I know, man. I need to stop taking that personally.
I know, me too, dude.
I was talking to my wife about that. I'm like, I think I'm taking it personally, and I think maybe I'm not supposed to, and I don't think that it is. It's just my own stupid natural tendency.
That's
like,
me
why
too.
are you shitting on my efforts?
Well, that's me, dude.
But
like,
that's probably every band with the same battle, you know, like trying to get booked or trying to get a call back from somebody. I said it's so crazy how I parallel the artists that I'm covering.
Yeah.
It's like living with the wolves. You just sort of become one of them over time, you know?
Well, and you know, and I was taking it personal too. I was getting upset, you know, and I'm thinking, you know, it's like, here I am, a hardworking woman who's just trying to make a difference in the world. No hidden agenda, you know, I don't make money with what I'm doing, but yet, you know, people still didn't want to talk to me because, oh, well, you don't have enough likes and follows on social media.
Sure.
You know, and so, you know, I did take it personal. But at the same time, I look at it as the universe doesn't want those people to be a part of what I'm building because of their egos and attitudes. You know, and you know, I'm a spiritual person. And I'll just say that based upon things that I've experienced in my life, I will say there is a spiritual power that guides you whenever you need that guidance if you reach out, you know? And so anytime something bad happens to me, I don't get upset anymore. I'm just like, what is the lesson it's trying to teach me? And there's a reason this happened. What is that reason?
You're full of shit because you vent on social, so I know you're upset. But maybe it's just for a minute, but you still gotta get it out.
The things that I vent about most, because, you know, even in this day and age, you know, now you've got this big autism debate, you know, everyone thinks they know everything about fucking autism, you know, but yet most people don't live with it. So, you know, it's like, for me, you know, my child, he didn't say his first word till he was 8 years old. He's 11 now. He still can't hold a fucking conversation with you. Yeah. You know, but he can tell you what he needs. Like, you know, he'll come up to you and say, huggy. You know, he wants a hug. Or he'll come up to you and say, fa-da-da. And I know that means French fries, chicken nuggets, you know. But it's like just the fact of everything I've been through, and people, you know, doctors were like, your son's never going to speak. You know, you might want to just think about putting him in a home. You know, he's never going to be able to fend for himself. He's never going to be able to take care of himself.
They said that to you?
Oh, yeah. I won't even tell you. There's this neurologist, and I won't even say her name, but like, she literally spent 20 minutes observing my son and then was rude as I don't know what to us, and then just handed us an autism diagnosis and goes, here, get him ABA therapy. And I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, what about him ever speaking? Well, you might want to give up on that, and they make devices that can help him speak. And I'm like,
you might want to give up.
So I don't know, so I vent online when I get frustrated with dealing with his behaviors because he's routine oriented. If you deviate outside of his routine, you meltdown of epic proportions. Like, I'm 139 pound, 5'4". My son is taller than me and he's like 140 pounds now. Dude's solid. I can't hold him when he's having a meltdown. He's kicking walls, he's kicking doors, it gets fucking hard. And so it's like my last resort is to vent, but now I've learned not to because, the insensitive people out there.
Hey, have you heard about Neworleansmusicians.com? It's a place where articles, music videos, interviews, and streaming music from Louisiana musicians can be found. Fans can join free. Music business professionals can join free too. And Louisiana musicians can join for free as well. It's also the place where Louisiana bands go to network and get free promotion. We've definitely got plenty, like this band. Check them out.
Just like everyone thinks they're an expert about autism. They'll be like, oh, well, my kid's high functioning and he can do this and he can do that. Okay. Can your kid talk? Can your kid wipe his own ass? Can your kid get his own food?
Yeah.
Mine sure as fuck can't,
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've got other friends of mine who are in the same boat as me with their children being on this more severe side of autism, But bro, I tell you, the world we're living in, man, it's like everyone thinks that they know everything and everyone has a fucking opinion when they don't live it,
Look, I'm watching this stuff unfold. I don't pay attention as much to much of anything on social besides the shit I put out because I'm forced to interact with it. I go back and respond to comments and things like that. So I interact on that level, I guess on a professional level, if you want to call it that. But it's really opened my eyes to how it's odd to me. It's like these forms and functions do not fit. Someone will voice their opinion. The one I was talking about yesterday with Dwayne over at OCD was Justin Perez and his declaration of how he cannot stand Tool. That came up in an interview. The interview itself, I don't remember what the numbers were, but let's just say the full-length interview was low, 3 digits somewhere, right? I put out this short, and it's him talking about Tool, how he cannot stand Tool. He sort of likes Pucifer, and he's going on and on. Comment section blew up.
And people didn't like the fact that
he is a superhero and a villain both at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And he's a dumbass, and he's intelligent, all at the same time. It's like this is your society, people.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. I respect everyone's opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad if you have an opinion, especially if you can back it up, and especially if it's a mature point of view and you have reasoning behind it, other than that guy sucks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you could back it up, even if it's with bullshit, more power to you because you spent some time figuring that out. You know what I'm saying? You gave it some thought. So it doesn't matter to me whether I disagree or agree with the people that come across my desk, if you will, but it matters to me just in seeing the tendency of the herd, I guess you would say. And it's just kind of baffling.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of baffling. Like before I said that maybe social media was isolating because and online in general because people don't shop at malls anymore. They shop online and people don't go out to social functions much anymore. They get their taste for that on Facebook during the lunch break or something when they could be sitting there talking to somebody at lunch, but they choose Facebook instead. Right. So it has isolated in my eyes. So I view it as a circus of sorts, but it's my only free means of getting what I'm producing out there and sharing with people about the things that I like to speak about. So it's just kind of a necessary evil at this point.
It is. But what's funny is I've run into several people who say they're not big fans of Tool. It's like just because the masses like something doesn't necessarily mean it's always great. I mean, I like some Tool songs, but I only like Tool up to a certain album, and then after that, I just lost interest.
It wasn't so much the comment about Tool.
Yeah.
It was more that he made a line in the sand, a very divisive statement, and it polarized people immediately, which is okay. You should have people that agree with him, and you should have people that don't agree with him.
Right.
But you got some people that don't agree, and you don't understand why, because they just called him a dork or something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how they chose to voice their discontent with his opinion. Or somebody saying that he's crazy, or he's an asshole, or he's high or something. Yeah. Because they don't share his view.
Right.
And I'm just looking at the collective like, Jesus, how far below par have we all sunk? It's okay if you don't have a clue, but at least support the fact that you don't have a clue.
Yeah.
Stand behind what you mean to say, and say it with some sort of dignity. Don't just call him a sissy pants, whatever the hell, like
keyboard warriors, man.
The dumbest shit for no apparent reason.
They're just keyboard warriors. It's like they can say so much shit, when they're sitting behind a computer. But to my point earlier, if we would be like all Jay and Silent Bob showing up at their ass, house going, hey, you said this, we're gonna kick your ass, and they're like, oh no, I didn't say that, or I didn't mean it that way,
Let me ask, are you able to interact with the people that are commenting on your posts and liking your posts and sharing? Like
in real life, or
no, like on social, are you able to keep up with that? Because I realize ideally there's a point where we reach and we can't keep up with it because it's so much feedback.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Right now, I can handle it all, but I'm a one-woman show because I'm running everything, and so I'm having to do all the social. I'm having to do the YouTube. I'm the only person with access to the site to upload the articles and everything. So I do the best that I can for now, but eventually, I think I'm gonna have someone to help me. As we continue to grow, but. I honestly, I don't even know where we're going to go as far as the magazine. I don't have these grand aspirations to become, this millionaire doing what I'm doing. My whole purpose was, I like music. I want to bring people together. I want people to discover new music, and I want people to get excited about it again.
Sure.
And look at it as more of an artistic endeavor, which it is, instead of just some commercial commodity with some, person who's trying to push you to buy butt plugs or something. You know what I'm saying? Because everything's about the celebrity endorsement these days too.
Yeah.
And those celebrities can push people to buy God knows what,
It's surprising that it still works. It seems like it would have been an antiquated technique by now. But there are certain, not scruples, but I guess tools of the trade for marketing, like the bandwagon and fear of missing out, things of this nature, and they just work every time.
Yep.
It plays on some human emotion that we're all born with, that it's just so effective.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, because your background was in several different forms of creativity, if you will. There was a line that I read in reviewing Beastie Boys' Grand Royal magazine, and the guy accused them, if you will, of kind of producing a magazine that was over-stylized. And I thought to myself, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I know that there's like jewelry that's too gaudy, or there's clothing that's too gaudy. I get that, but when it comes to over-stylized, are they saying you need to dumb down something in order for it to be ingested? Like, how does that strike you? And did you have to throttle yourself because you had so much in the way of means creating your own magazine?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I don't over stylize. That's an interesting question. It's like, how do you over stylize something? Because if you're building a brand, you're going to build it based upon color schemes and logos and things that resonate with that brand. So you're adding style to it. So I don't know. Like, when I think of that old Beastie Boys magazine, man, that thing was epic. How is it over stylized? Like, it served its purpose, and it had this unique niche about it.
Yeah. I think it gives character. I think it's a way of identifying with the message of a brand.
Yeah.
I think we all cling to brand identity itself and place perhaps too much importance on it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
no, I
you can
agree.
only choose 3 colors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And don't ever appear outside of those 3 colors.
Right.
Like all these things. What they were referring to that I noticed was, instead of words printed on a page for an article, there'd be like a collage of pictures, and the article was printed on top of that. And perhaps there were, 2 different boxes, there were 2 different font styles, and maybe the interview itself just sounded kind of lame in comparison to how much was going on in this page. Like it was just a bunch of stuff,
maybe
you know
that
what
was
I'm saying?
it. It just didn't have the personality.
It just kind of made me wonder if you felt like you had to throttle yourself either for the purposes of, I guess, how would you put it? Corporate acceptance. Either for the purposes of corporate acceptance or for the purpose of, I don't have enough budget to be able to accommodate all my dreams, so I need to hone it down to these. We're all forced to focus at times. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And that's been my story has been that. I know what over stylized could be. I mean, I've tried to put too much into the things that people know just can't be paying attention to. You know? Like in video editing, I'll spend all this time on 2 seconds. It's 2 seconds, but I had to get it like that because it's what I envisioned, you know?
Oh, yeah, no,
so
you're
for
like
yourself,
me. Yeah.
So for yourself, I guess, were there times when you were building this thing that you felt, or in your path so far, that you felt like you had to kind of throttle it down or focus a little bit because you were trying to shotgun the pattern too much or something?
I will say yes. So, you know, we started with the online magazine, and then it got to a point where I was like, all right, I want to go ahead and start building the YouTube. But the YouTube is its own separate beast. So there's been a couple of times where I've had to pull away from the YouTube so I could focus back on the actual online magazine. Because truth be told, I'm only one person, and you know I can only do so much. And you know I'm trying to build everything into this vision I see in my head, but I'm one person.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I've had to throttle a lot of things back. And to be quite honest, you know, I wish I could be pumping out more articles and more YouTube content. You know, but at the end of the day, I've got other jobs that I do from home, you know, and I've got to take care of my children. And so it just kind of fits in when I can. And I'm honest too, with a lot of the artists that email me for coverage. I'll email them back and look, I just wanted you to know, you know, we're a little different than other magazines. This is a passion project magazine. We all have day jobs. And so when we can get to covering you, you know, I'll send you an email and let you know, hey, I'm working on your piece now.
Sure.
And they're very receptive to it and understanding, you know,
Yeah.
because that's another thing too. Everyone's so used to the corporate model and they think everything is corporate owned and runs a certain way. So to have a creative come in and be like, oh no, we don't operate like that. You know, this is how we operate.
Yeah.
It's different to them, you know, but also too, it's a breath of fresh air. You know, a lot of these artists, you know, after I post the reviews, they'll email me back and be like, that is the most honest review I've heard of our music yet.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure you've run across this too. You're reading these articles from other online magazines and it's like ChatGPT regurgitated the shit and they copied and pasted it.
I'm wondering how we're all going to decipher that. That hadn't occurred to me. I wrote an article on Taylor Nauta and out of Baton Rouge, and one of the people that commented said something about, I thought it was AI. I guess they used the term AI or ChatGPT. I thought it was AI until I spotted a typo, and I was like confused for a minute.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, well, that's actually kind of a compliment, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about, what does that mean in the future, man? Like, how are we gonna, because I've had to dial back. I realize how much time goes into an article.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
we all have our own pace, but
Yeah.
it takes me quite a while to write an article, and it involves having to be very decisive. And sometimes you're just not feeling very decisive. Like, you know, maybe you didn't eat enough that morning, so you're just standing there in the closet like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to wear. You know what I'm saying? But
Oh, yeah.
you got to be on the money when it comes to these articles. I've had to dial that back a bit because I'm doing the podcast and the YouTube channel and running the site too. So I know what goes into it. And I respect you for that. And I understand that sometimes you got to pull away from other projects because there's only one of you. I usually torture myself and don't, but that's, I'm here to tell you, don't take that path. Don't do like I did.
But I mean, I've always been a go-getter, and I've always been the type of person where I've always had that DIY attitude. Like, and if I don't know how to do something, I'm going to fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, they make too many textbooks and things out there to teach you shit, you know, and that's just how I've always been. I mean, and then, you know, I served 8 years, you know, in the Louisiana Army National Guard too, you know, and so that gave me a bigger sense of discipline and just learning how to tough things out, you know, in bad situations. And, you know, people always ask me about my time in the Guard, and they're like, well, what'd you learn? I'm like, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned about, you know, what my body can take as far as limits and stress and, you know, things like that. But Yeah, man, the Chat GPT thing, I tell you, and I think you might have seen this post a while back, but there was an online indie magazine, another one of these, 50 million ones that pop up, and there was an article about a local band that I had written about previously, and I had done their first press. So I'm going to read this article. They had used ChatGPT, and the article pulled my words from my article I wrote previously about this band. So that's a problem I'm running into now. In fact, I'm the first press for a lot of these bands.
Sure.
And then these other publications who don't have any, stipulations about their writers using ChatGPT and stuff, they're using it, and it's pulling from my articles.
Yeah.
And then I'm reading it and going, that's my fucking words.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it.
No.
It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I mean, I know for me, I can spot that shit quickly. And just even online, like now you've got all these AI videos that people are posting, and a lot of people are like, well, I can't tell if it's real or it's fake. I'm like, dude, you can fucking tell. Like people posted some fake AI picture of some fast food restaurant recently, and you've got all these people that look like they're from the 1980s with like beards and stuff, and they're in this retro fast food restaurant. But the packaging was a giveaway to me, because you look at the packaging and the logo was kind of goofy and weird. And
yeah, it's not too good with the letters and numbers and images.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, but man, I tell you, I think all of that, it's going to do us more harm than good. And there's already studies and tests out there showing that it's making people dumber. Like they're declining cognitively because they're not having to use their brains.
Yeah, they're accepting it as fact, and it's not. We need to research everything. I don't care if it came from the biggest supercomputer that Earth has ever seen.
I'm a big research gal. I'm all about the books. Like I read so much.
The problem is, I feel like it's going to be another grassroots effort to make people understand that AI is not Jesus.
Right.
AI is fake. Do you care about if what you're ingesting is fake? And I feel like we're going to end up on two different sides of the table, and we're going to be trying to fight the good fight to keep things real.
Yeah.
The Matrix.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, because me and my friend Lisa have this talk all the time, but I think eventually you're going to see a division. You're going to have society, who are the ones that are the sheep that are going to follow everything that's spoon-fed to them. Yeah. And then you're going to have the beneathers. The beneathers are going to be the ones beneath society that still believe in free thought, that still know the truth, that still believe in research.
Right.
And I think that's the division you're going to see. You're going to see society and the beneathers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how it's going to end up being. Because, I don't know, did you get the COVID shot? Did you fall into all that propaganda and do
some
all
of
that?
it?
Yeah.
We freaked out. Initially, we freaked out because nobody was given the right information.
Right.
We had groceries delivered and we wiped them down, to be dead honest. And then I'd never had long hair in my life, but when COVID hit, I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to get my hair cut. Right? You know what I'm saying? So then it just kind of grew on me, But it was crazy. I fed into some of that bullshit, still got COVID. And then at the time, the not gestation period, the isolation period was changing.
Right.
When I got it, it was 2 weeks. And since I was at work when I got it, I went to go spend 2 weeks in a crappy hotel with a rental car and just kind of drove around for 2 weeks, reliving, like going through my old neighborhoods and shit, listening to all the music and just driving around. Didn't know what to do. Because there were a lot of chiefs in that scenario, and a
lot of disinformation. It's like they were coming at you at every angle, but nobody could tell you the truth.
Well, there were so many different chiefs. There were so many different authorities on the matter, and they had differing opinions, and all of them swore by their own opinion. And I feel like that's like the general message these days, where people will tell you something and they will state it as a fact. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if they're leading authority or your neighbor talking about dog grooming. They will state it as a fact, and they won't leave room in there for conjecture or doubt or any of these things. They'll act like it is the word.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just not.
No, it's not.
And you're not wrong for thinking that it isn't. And you're not an asshole if you just suggest that maybe it isn't. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to take that. But people can't take it. And I think that's where online personalities and in real life personalities differ. Is that when we're all forced to sit in front of each other and speak to each other, we understand that there are some inherent boundaries that we don't want to cross, because it's not unfriending, it's you getting punched in the mouth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why you have manners. Yeah. There are consequences, and I think people are freed somewhat from their consequences when you come to online. So I haven't really placed much importance on online presence in general.
Yeah.
And I see that online marketing is a black money hole that you could just keep, as long as you keep feeding it dollar bills, it'll keep feeding you numbers, and then as soon as you turn it off, it hits you in the nuts worse than you were before when you started.
Well, and then that also too, so like you said, you keep feeding it money. So you keep feeding it money, and you keep getting mediocre results. You're not getting that.
No, it's not progress. It's just placation. That's all it is.
It's just chasing your tail. Just keep doing the same thing, But also too, like a lot of these bands, I was having a discussion recently with someone too about, how a lot of these bands play the same venues over and over and over again, and it's like they're chasing their tail, and yet. People don't go to bars anymore. They just don't.
Right.
A lot of people don't drink as much, or if they do drink, they want to drink at home so they can get trashed and just chill at their house,
Yeah.
But, a lot of these bands are they're not seeing the bigger picture that they can't just keep playing these venues. They've got to think outside of the box. They've got to think about, okay, well, what kind of venues could we get people, to actually come out to? And that kind of leads me to those VFW hall shows. I've done one so far, and now we're working on this Aussie show. Well, my whole thought process behind that was, I served. Almost everybody I served with is a member of this VFW hall in Gonzales, And when I saw the size of it and I saw where it was located, I was like, okay, so you've got a lot of moms like me who really love music, but we can't get out to a traditional show sometimes because we have to be a mom, right?
Sure.
So, you do a show at a VFW hall in a family-friendly area. You make it all ages. You make it a sense of community, and people will come. The first show we did back in March, one of my best friends, her son has severe autism like my son, and she brought him, and he had a great time and was vibing to the music. And afterwards, she made a big post thanking everyone and for their kindness and how he was able to be himself. Well, that's the type of environment that I want to foster, and that's the type of environments we need.
Sure.
More people will come out if they feel accepted, and if they have children with special needs and they feel like, oh, I can bring my child safely to listen to music and no one's going to judge him. So it's like the VFW shows to me, we're thinking outside of the box of, okay, you've also got a lot more people living in the Prairieville, Gonzales area these days, okay? And they don't want to travel to downtown Baton Rouge to the Basin Hall. They don't want to travel to Mid-City Ballroom. They don't want to travel to these places because they live in Prairieville, Gonzales. Well, like Prairieville, Gonzales used to have Park Place, and so like when they were open, you had a venue out there for those bands. Bands in that area don't have a venue in Gonzales, Prairieville anymore.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to bring that back with the VFW hall. And so, we did the first show in March, and it was about what I expected, considering that there were shows everywhere else, and it was something new and trying to get people, out there. And then now we're doing the second show, October 11th, which the way that came about was just like a whirlwind. It's like, we had two guys with an idea to do an Aussie tribute, and then they asked me, can you help me with this? And I really don't have the time, but I'm like, yeah, I'll help you, sure, because I can't say no, right? So, so it's like we get into it and we're planning it. And at first we were looking at doing it at the Texas Club, because I think the Texas Club is an underutilized venue that we have. It may not be in the best area of town, but you've got security there. You've got a huge parking lot.
Where is that at?
Texas Club is located by the old Bon Marché Mall. So it's behind the old Ziegler Music. If you are coming down Florida Boulevard. So it's not in a great area of town. It's in a town, an area that's known for crime, but the stage is huge. The green room's huge. The place itself is huge.
Yeah.
You've got security out there. The parking lot's huge. So originally we were thinking about approaching them and doing the show there. And then, shit you not, went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, had a message from my contact at the VFW. He goes, hey, we'll host the show for y'all. And I'm like, all right, done,
What's funny I wanted to bring up about using the VFWs, that's kind of like a callback to where, and you were talking about a dominant metal presence in Louisiana, but it's kind of a callback to how things started, because originally a lot of these bands that have made it now started off at VFW halls. Like, that was a more common occurrence.
It was.
And I like the idea of a family atmosphere. We don't all have to be so shady and drugged up all the time. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, enjoy the music vibe. It's like we get food trucks out there, man.
Sure.
The VFW has a full bar built in the back of it. It's the coolest little thing. Like, you walk into this big VFW hall. It's brand fucking new. You walk to the back, and there's this little pub built into the back. And they've got little bar stools and little bar tables and everything. And then you've got a full kitchen next to it if you wanted to do that. But, last time we just had a food truck pull up,
Yeah.
and you just handle it that way. But it's about creating a safe environment where people actually want to come out and come vibe and chill, because it's like, I'll just be honest with you. There was a venue in New Orleans we went to recently, and I won't call them out, but no parking. There's no parking outside of the venue. There's no parking near the venue. We had to walk about a block, and we had to pay to park.
Yeah.
Once again, So it's like the VFW Hall, great parking, free parking. It's, in Santa Maria Gonzales area, so it's safe. It's not that far from the interstate, So it's like, I think a lot of people these days, they're just being more cognizant of the dangers that are out there in the world, and they don't want to go to places that they deem unsafe.
Yeah, kudos. I mean, more power to them, because I'm tired of $8 beers and paying for parking too.
Dude, right?
I think that for some reason, I don't know. I'm always vomiting over ticket prices.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking. I forget, who cares who it was recently, but I was looking up somebody's ticket prices, and it's just so many hands in the pot now that it's like you're gonna pay $200 for a shitty seat, nosebleed shitty seat. You can't even get anywhere near the floor for less than $400. That is ridiculous.
Completely ridiculous.
I don't care how much talent they have and how much I want to show them I love their talent.
Yeah.
$400 is a bit much to ask of people. And I just feel like it's a slap in the face. And it's been going on since forever, because I can remember when, of all people, we were talking about Tool, was going to the Lakefront Arena, and I saw the ticket prices for that. It was like 15 years ago, and I was like, Jesus.
I went to that show, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I was there.
I couldn't believe, I was like, how can they ask that of their fans? But you know what? It's probably not even, like, their hands are probably tied at that point.
Well, yeah, because they're part of the corporate machine.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many people representing them that they don't have a say in the matter past a certain point. And that just really pisses me off.
But see, that's another thing too. See, I think that the whole music business needs a complete overhaul, because it's become too much about having too many people with their hands in the pot, then the actual musician is not earning what they should earn.
No, their share has gone down.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think even that needs to change. I think there just needs to be an overhaul of all the shady people who are only in it for their own egos and money. They need to go, because at the end of the day, it's a creative product. It's a creative product that's coming from your brain and your brain only. No one else can reproduce that. And so you should have a say on what you get paid for that. You should have a say on where the money goes for the things you get paid for. But I think these people they want help, and they want to be famous so badly that they don't care who they associate themselves with.
Yeah, well, something slid by, underneath the rug, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about the Ozzy show, because this will probably be out within a month.
Okay, awesome.
So it's time sensitive thing. Maybe you could let them know.
Yeah. So
what's happening so far.
So October 11th at the VFW Hall in Gonzales, we are doing an Ozzy tribute show with all the money going to the Barrow Neurological Research Center in Arizona.
Okay.
And I'll touch on how all that came about. So, of course, Ozzy had Parkinson's, and so we told ourselves, we said, okay, well, we don't want to make money off this show. We just want to do it because we love the music and we want to give back. So then it was Ryan Bordelon. He was like, well, why don't we give the money to a Parkinson's charity? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool. And I was like, I don't even know where to start or who I would reach out to. Well, then Jeremy Bullion from Choke, he's like, well, my buddy, his sister-in-law works for a neurological foundation for Parkinson's, and we're going to get in touch with her, and we're going to get everything official as a whistle. So it was John Schill, and he calls me one day, and he's like, hey, I've got everything taken care of. He goes, I'm about to send you the email. This is where we send the money. This is what we need to put in the press release. Here's the logos. And I mean, it just all just divinely happened all at once. So all ages show, Saturday, October 11th at the VFW Hall. We're starting it at 6 p.m. It's going to go till 10 p.m. Literally, we have like 80 musicians.
I was about to mention that. I saw
that. Dude,
that.
It's fucking insane, because, well, the way we wanted to approach it too was, so many people know certain parts of songs and they know them well. Why not let them perform those parts, and then we fill in the other places with whoever knows those other parts? Because say you got one guy who can sing Sweet Leaf really good, and then you've got somebody who can really handle the drums on Paranoid, okay? So you want to really showcase that. So we did the Sign Up Genius form, and I went through and I put, all the songs, what parts, how many people we needed, and it worked out good. Everyone was signing up. And then Ryan, bless his heart, he's been working his ass off. He's been going through all of the Excel spreadsheets I've sent him, and he's been calling people and getting everything organized, making sure everyone's gelling, working together. So yeah, that Saturday, October 11th, huge tribute to Ozzy. We've also got Osbourne, the Ozzy tribute band.
Yeah.
They reached out and they wanted to be a part of it, so they're opening the show. And then now we've had a few musicians here and there drop off just because I don't know how the algorithms were working, but we had musicians from other states signing up. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, well, I didn't realize the show was in Louisiana. I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then having to replace them. And but, man, we've got a food truck coming. We've got the full bar. We've got some auctions we're going to do. D-Roz with D-Roz Paints. He plans on painting a Randy Rhoads-inspired guitar, and then we're going to auction it off. Leah Melanson, Froggy Melanson's wife, she's got this custom knit crochet Ozzy Osbourne doll that she's going to auction off. Then we're going to be doing door prizes. I've got several bands donating merch so we can do the door prizes. Because ultimately, too, you know, when we're announcing these artists to come up stage and perform, I'm going to announce who they're affiliated with. You know, we've got so-and-so from this band because, you know, you're going to have a lot of general public people that are going to come to this show who are not part of the music scene. And they're not going to know who any of these musicians are.
It's a great way to brush across a bunch of pools of talent, really.
Well, even now, too, like what, you know, we found in the music scene is you've got the music enthusiasts who are part of the scene that are more apt to come out to these shows, but the general public just doesn't care.
Yeah.
You know, like to my point earlier, you know, they'll pay $20, $30, $40 to go see a cover band, but they won't pay $5-10 to, you know, hear some original music.
Yeah.
But so for the Ozzy show, I'm hoping we can put more of a focus on a lot of these musicians with just the general public, because I have a feeling people are going to see this and be like, oh, I love Ozzy, man. Oh, Parkinson's, I want to donate, you know, and that's what we want. Like Ryan and I've already talked about, we want to max out the donations as best as we can. Like we want to cut them the biggest check ever, you know? So it's like, we're not taking a dime. Like everything I'm doing is coming out of my pocket, you know? And that's another thing, my husband, he gets so mad at me. He's like, how much more are you taking out of savings to do this? Because I'm using my savings. Ever since I started the magazine, I've been using my money that I earned.
Preach it to the choir,
man. But so my husband, you have to run it by him every time. Well, I got to take this much out for this, you know. And then he's like, you know, you better be putting money back in savings. I go, well, when I get money from jobs, I am. And like I told him, I said, I have a feeling I'm going to get it all back one day. And I said, but, you know, I want to spend my money promoting those I believe in and, you know, helping those I believe in and getting their crafts out there. Because that's another thing, too. I will not cover or write about any band or musician that I don't believe in. Because I can't. It's dishonest. Everything I write is authentic. Like, if I say I really like your music and it's really good, I really mean that. You know?
I had to dial that back myself. I made it kind of part of the regiment of interviewing people to then write an article about them after the visual and audio media was released. And I realized that I was just imploring myself to do something that maybe I didn't feel compelled to do in the first place.
Right.
Honestly feel compelled. So then it became a real struggle to pump out that article with any kind of genuine tone, you know, and you were speaking about that before. It's so necessary that you have a voice, not just words on a paper, but some attitude in there. You know, it's great that you can tell me about 1-2-3 band, but it's great when you could tell me about 1-2-3 band and I pick up a few things about you as well, like you're sarcastic, or we share the same sense of humor. Or, you know, these personality quirks that make us all human beings. You want that to be able to shine through. And that doesn't happen if you're forcing yourself to churn out a piece. So I took a big step back from it. I put everything into more visual and audio media, and every once in a while I look at my site and I'm like, it's been 5 months since my last article. I guess I'll go ahead and write about something, you know. But at least I'm cherry picking instead of just, you know, having this compulsion to put it out like a machine, you know?
Yeah, see, that's what I was doing at one point. I was just putting it out like a machine because I was trying to get content so that we could get our numbers up and all that. And eventually I had to dial that back because I was running into the problem where I would sit down and write and I couldn't fucking write. Like literally, I had nothing.
It turns you off to the idea.
And so I was having to force what I was writing, and it wasn't what I really wanted to say. And so like now the way I approach it you know, like I interviewed this band recently called the Doties. And so their producer, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, he's friends with Chris Leno, who's the lead singer of Boiler Room, who I did an interview with Chris Leno in Boiler Room recently. Well, they recommended the Doties to me. They were like, you're really going to like this band. They're really fucking good. I had never heard of them. So I go down the rabbit hole, discover their music, and I'm like, holy shit, these guys are really fucking good. Like, really good. So, you know, I did the interview with them, and, you know, the whole time you could just tell there was this vibe because I was really invested in their music.
Sure, genuinely.
And so then when it came time to write their article, I didn't even have to really second guess. I swear the shit just flowed.
Poured right out.
I would have a sentence or phrase pop in my head. I'd write it down, have another sentence or phrase pop in, write it down. Because that's how I work. I won't just sit down and write. I'll be walking around the house listening to music, trying to get inspired after I do the interview, and I'll be listening to the band's music, and then it'll pop in my head, okay, describe this like this, or do this. And then I have a marker board on my my refrigerator, and I'll write that on there. So I have all these like phrases and words and things all over the house, and then when I sit down to write, I take all that and I combine it. Mm-hmm. And then it makes sense. It's so fucking weird. It'll be like, oh, that's where this sentence goes. That's why this phrase popped in my head. Okay, I get it.
I'm much the same way.
Yeah.
When I sit down to write, it's going to be little catchphrases or ideas or pictures in time, whatever it is. It could be associated with an image, like image driven, like this cool scene or something.
Right.
Or 2 facts right here, and then a chronological piece right here that cites what happened at the start of their career or something, and then I'm just starting to put it together. And once I do that, then you just kind of got to make the connecting threads,
right,
and it starts to become more like an article. But it's really great when it just comes out like that.
Well, and then that's how you know that you're on the right track too, when you're not having to force it. Because the way I look at it, you cannot force creativity. You just cannot. You will not get the same results. So like before I came to do this interview with you today, I was facing creative burnout, like bad, because I've just given so much of myself these past few weeks. So, you know, I had just finished an article, but I haven't scheduled any other interviews yet because I'm feeling burnout, and I need to get back into that happy place to where I can give my all to, you know, what I'm promoting. But
that's awesome. Was there anything else that you would like to cite as far as resources or maybe upcoming pieces that you have?
Well, I mean, I don't really have anything on the schedule coming up because I like I said, I'm just kind of playing it by ear right now. But no, I mean, all I can say is stay tuned for 2026, man. We're growing, we're building, trying to build that YouTube presence a little bit more. You know, we had started doing some live action reviews on the reel, and we had to kind of put that on the back burner for a while because we all got busy. But Jason's working on a video right now for me. We've got some other stuff coming up. So, I mean, it's just kind of just wait and see, you know? I'm just taking each day at a time, to be quite honest. And wherever the universe leads me, that's where I'm going to go.
Sure. Excellent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You too.